I lost my place. Except for let's open the puzzle box. Hello, and welcome to Dragonflower Gardens. I want to thank all my returning subs. You guys are awesome. And if you're new here, welcome. We talk about gardening, wild foraging, bushcraft, medicinal plants, food preservation, seed saving, spiritual and physical health, animal husbandry, and agricultural news that affects you. So if that's what you're into, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified every time that we're getting ready to drop a new video. Let's get into it today. Today, we're going to open the puzzle box. The puzzle box of fiat currency. The U.S. officially gave England their papers of divorce and that they were separated July 4th, 1776. July 4th, 1776. We refer to this as Independence Day. This is the day that the U.S. declared their independence and that they were no longer going to be under English rule and the English pound, and how the entire system of trade was governed by this one body. In 1873, Germany decided that they would like to start making trade with us, and we agreed to go on the classic gold standard. The classic gold standard is where there's 20 pieces of gold in the treasury, and the government is going to give you a receipt for your gold so that you can travel and get commodities and bring them back. So if we wanted our gold that we had notes for from a different country, we would just go and say, hey, these are all our notes, and we now would like to have our gold. And then we would bring it back to our country in a ship or something. And they would do the same. This is how this worked on for a while. This is the classic gold standard. Classic gold standard. Each unit of currency is backed up by an equal amount of gold in the treasury. In 1913, the Federal Reserve Act was passed. This was extremely sneaky because there was lots of controversy on the idea to begin with, because what they're saying is we're going to create a different entity that's going to deal with our banknotes, and we're going to trust that they're going to take care of it. Okay, so this was very controversial. December 23rd, 1913, Congress passed, with the approval of Woodrow Wilson, the Federal Reserve Act. Super sneaky. Everybody was out celebrating Christmas. And during this time, the narrative tells us that this was horse and buggy. This was a deliberate setup to have only the people there that were willing to pass the Federal Reserve Act. The Federal Reserve Act gave this entity, which we now call the Fed, the Federal Reserve, the Fed, gave them the power to print receipts for gold that didn't exist. This caused a problem, but it didn't cause a problem right away. We really start to notice it causes a problem during the World Wars. Between the World Wars, they went on the gold exchange standard. 1933. This is where currency is backed partially on gold. This is what happened in World War I. Roosevelt's gold standard. Printed receipts for gold. They can print more than gold that existed. This happened in World War I. All the combatives stopped redeeming rights on the banks and trading your pounds, liren marks, francs, no longer redeemable in gold. They started up the printing press and started printing like crazy. Between the world wars, they went on the gold standard. 1933. This was President Roosevelt. This is where currency would be backed partially by gold. The U.S. under the Federal Reserve Act. See how these two things relate? When we get to 1944, during both world wars, Europe paid the U.S. in gold. Yet they paid us in gold. Okay? That's how we got all that gold in Fort Knox. I don't think it's still there anymore. But hypothetically, it was there once. U.S. didn't have troops on the ground in Europe in any quantity until the last 6 months of the wars. So let's see. The U.S. got involved August of 1942 during World War II. So, like, right towards the end of it. So far, the 4 years or so that the U.S. was selling commodities to Europe. Yeah. And then we get the gold. Okay? This is the Industrial Revolution. We're going to pull your families off the farms, and we want your boys to go start working in factories, and we want your ladies to get out there and start working in the factories, and we want to turn the places that we make motor cars into places that we can now build tanks. We want to take the places that we are building like toasters and new things at that time, and we want to turn that into factories that produce guns. We want to ship all of our grains and our food over to them to supply to them because, well, they're getting bombed and shelled, so they can't exactly grow on uneven ground with the agriculture that was there. We are having this problem in real life right now. So they turned the U.S. economy towards war, and all of Europe's commodities and goods and grains have to be shipped in. We're shipping them all our stuff, and they're shipping us back gold. This is that confusing thing where sometimes people be like, war creates money. No, it doesn't. Okay? The only reason why the U.S. ended up having so much wealth that had grown was not because of the war. It was because we were supplying what they needed to fight the war. We didn't even get involved into the war until like a couple months before it ended. See, by that time, we had most of the gold by then. How much gold? Good question. The U.S. had 1/3 of the world's gold. Yeah, that's that. There's Golden Fort Knox thing. See, it probably was there once. So the world wars end, and Europe's stuck with all these notes, but they don't have any gold to back these notes. So that causes a problem because there's nothing that everybody is agreeing on, because we agreed on gold and now they don't have any gold. They just have our papers that was helping fund their war efforts so that they could get commodities. And now they want to start trading things, and so we have to all agree on the same system again. Thank you for watching Dragonflower Gardens, and remember to keep on growing.